I gave 5 AIs the exact same challenge. Help me start a business from scratch with $500. Same prompts, same budget, same constraints, and paid versions of every model. One model kept kicking me out of the session mid-test. One couldn't generate a logo at all. And the obvious winner? It wasn't ChatGPT or Claude. The model that topped our scorecard is one you're probably not using as your daily driver, and by the end of this video, that may change. I don't think there's a perfect testing methodology, but my researcher and I worked together to come up with a method that's a bit more scientific than asking a few questions and going off of vibes.
How you feeling, man? I'm pretty lucky. Say what? I'm fine.
Here's what we came up with. We tested 33 prompts across 5 models and scored each response across 6 criteria. We used new paid accounts across the board to eliminate memory and personalization bias, and each paid account was in the $20 a month price tier. We tested this with ChatGPT 5.5 Thinking, Claude Opus 4.7, Gemini 3.1 Pro, Copilot Think Deeper, and Super Grok Expert. We gave it a $500 budget and specified that this will be a solo operator, and the goal is to get the first paid customer as quickly as possible. But there's a twist. The scenario above was chosen from the first phase of testing. In phase 1, each model pitched us its own business ideas. In phase 2, we picked our favorite idea and gave every model the exact same brief. In phase 3, we ran the same 27 prompts across all 5 models in the same order. These prompts covered the business plan, branding, coding the website, marketing, financial analysis charts, the pitch deck, and more. Each prompt was scored on a scale of 1 to 10 based on how specific, practical, clear, and formatted the response was. We also scored the follow-up burden, how much extra prompting was needed to get the desired result, and we assigned an overall score from 1 to 10 based on the total impression for that prompt. So with all of that context, how did each model fare? Let's start with ChatGPT. For lack of a better term, it's the name brand AI, and it's earned its reputation here. The experience was straightforward from start to finish, with no interruptions. Live code previews worked well, and it gave us downloadable outputs. Where it genuinely surprised us was the financial section. My researcher, who has a background in accounting, commented on how the chart of accounts looks like something an accountant would put together. It wasn't a generic list. It had real, usable financial structure with proper categories. And the landing page code was surprisingly the strongest web output across the entire test. It was rendered in chat, fully functional, and beginner-friendly. The unfortunate stumble was logo generation. The image came out with a misspelling and a visual artifact. Not a deal breaker for the overall score, but a miss when every other model got that prompt right. In the end, ChatGPT scored a 9.1 out of 10. It was strong, consistent, and a smooth experience. Okay, so ChatGPT did pretty well, but what about Claude? Claude was the best writer in our tests by far. The brand identity it built, which it called Found Local, is a brand I could genuinely imagine bringing to life. The logo concept, colors, and website were all cohesive and professional. It looked the least AI generated of all the brands. The client proposal was the best document any model produced. It was something you could customize with a client's name and send out today. The homepage copy, the sales script, the email sequence, they were all polished in a way that other models weren't. But here's the gotcha. Claude hit its session limit twice during our testing, once after prompt 24 and once after prompt 32. Each time, we had to create a new thread and re-establish context. And keep in mind, we had a Claude Pro subscription for testing. No other model hit this limit, so if your workflow is heavy, you may run into friction. The quality is there, but you may hit limits. Overall, Claude tied with ChatGPT on paper, getting a score of 9.1 out of 10. It wasn't as polished all around as ChatGPT, but it excelled in writing copy. Another major player in the AI space is Gemini, and Gemini was the visual AI. If you need something that looks good, Gemini is your tool. Whether you need images, spreadsheets, slides, or websites created, Gemini does it well. The logo it generated was clean, professional, and on brand for the profile fixers, the name it chose for our business. Though I noticed it didn't put it on a transparent background, and I've never liked that Nano Banana images generated in the Gemini chat contain a watermark, despite paying for Google AI Pro. But the real standout was the pitch deck. Most models gave us an outline or a description, but Gemini built an 8-page visual deck. The Profile Fixer's pitch deck was the best creative output of the entire test. Where Gemini fell short was finance. The chart of accounts was not accounting friendly. The financial forecast table was also weaker than other top models. Overall, Gemini scored an 8.4 out of 10. It's strongest for visuals and presentations, but it fumbled the chart of accounts compared to the quality of other models. Okay. Sponsored integration. But I will say, the fact that you're this deep into an AI comparison video tells me something about you. Nerd. You're not just casually curious about this stuff, you actually want to get better at it. Which makes this next part pretty relevant. Coursera reached out and asked to sponsor this video because their AI course catalog is built for that exact type of person, aka you. Whether you want to use AI more effectively in your work, understand how these models actually think, or build toward a career in the field, Coursera has courses from institutions like Google, deeplearning.ai, and top universities that can actually get you there. If you've been watching videos like this one and thinking, I want to go deeper, Coursera is where that happens. They offer flexible learning and professional certificates you can actually put on a resume. Coursera is offering my viewers 40% off your first 3 months of Coursera Plus. I'll have it linked in the description below. Check it out, and thank you to Coursera for supporting the channel. We getting there. We getting there. We getting there, fam. Can I say it again? We getting there. One more time. We getting there.
Stop it. Get some help.
Insert Scotty's head right here. Never mind. Lock in, lock in, lock in. Okay. Now let's see how Copilot did in our tests. Copilot had the widest performance range of any model in our video, from genuinely impressive to flat out failing. The most impressive part was that Copilot created multiple interactive apps during the prompting process without being asked, such as a daily checklist of tasks to help our researcher lock in and actually build the business. The pitch deck was also a full 7-page deliverable similar to Gemini, not just an outline. But then there's the logo prompt. Copilot couldn't generate one. Yikes! Every other model in our test did this with ease. The SWOT analysis was the most basic of the 5, and the chart of accounts was not accounting friendly. Perhaps the biggest shocker was the landing page code. There was no in-chat preview, and you had to copy and paste the code into a .html file to see what you actually built. Copilot feels like a model with specific superpowers surrounded by some real blind spots. Overall, it scored an 8 out of 10, but does that make it the worst performer of the video? There's no way Copilot did worse than Grok, right? Actually, it did. Not only that, Grok won the comparison. What separated Grok from the other 4 wasn't one knockout moment, it was consistency. Across 33 prompts, Grok was organized, specific, and beginner-friendly from start to finish. The SWOT analysis was the best of the bunch. Structured, balanced, with clear strategic recommendations delivered as a downloadable PDF. The logo generation was the best of the test, offering a primary logo and 2 alternative logos. Nobody else gave us alternatives. The financial outputs were peak. The chart of accounts didn't just list categories, it gave instructions on how to actually use them. The forecast was detailed and the budget table was precise. The experience was the smoothest of the 5. No session limits, downloadable files throughout, and organized outputs at every phase. Overall, Grok scored a 9.3 out of 10, making it the top performer in this video by overall score. The final breakdown.
Stop it.
With that being said, I don't think there is one winner for every situation. If you need to write something, copy, a proposal, a sales pitch, Claude is your tool. Nothing else in this test came close on polished writing. If you need to build something, a landing page, code, a working app, start with ChatGPT. I'm going to do a full comparison video on the coding side of these platforms like Claude Code and ChatGPT Codex, but if you're a beginner just wanting to build a basic landing page in the chat window, ChatGPT excelled at this. And if you need something that looks good, a logo, a pitch deck, a visual brand, Gemini is the strong player here. I've got to be honest, I don't really see where Copilot fits in. I mean, the interactive apps were cool, but it was mediocre in every other way. If it can't even generate a logo for your business, I'm not sure I would recommend it. Now, if you want the best all-around model right now, give Grok a shot. I didn't expect the underdog to clean sweep the results, but the data doesn't lie. However, here's the biggest takeaway. The gap between these models is narrower than the hype suggests. ChatGPT is still excellent. Claude is still amazing. Copilot, despite its subpar performance, is still good. So honestly, use whichever tool is right for the job. I'd encourage you to do some experimenting and figure out which tool fits the lane of your specific task. In recent months, I've been using a mix of Gemini and Claude, but after seeing the results, I'm going to work Grok into my usage too. I want to give a huge shout out to Alyssa Christensen for her hard work researching this video and running tests. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to AI, so if you want to follow her for industry insights, I'll have her LinkedIn and YouTube channel linked below. If you're ready to go deeper with AI and get into the world of vibe coding with Claude Code, Codex, or other options, you can check out my comparison video here.